Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy played 7 different characters in The Nutty Professor, and 5 of them sat at the same dinner table. The film came out in 1996, directed by Tom Shadyac, a remake of Jerry Lewis's 1963 original. Murphy plays Sherman Klump, his alter ego Buddy Love, plus 4 other Klumps, Papa Cletus, Mama Anna, Grandma Ella, and Brother Ernie Sr. He also plays Lance Perkins, the loud television fitness instructor, which brings his total to 7. The only Klump not played by Murphy is Ernie Jr., played by child actor Jamal Mixon. The infamous family dinner scene required him to act as all 5 Klumps with himself, shot using motion control cameras and pounds of prosthetics. Makeup designer Rick Baker built every suit, having already transformed Murphy in Coming to America, and he won the Academy Award for Best Makeup at the 69th Oscars for this work. The film cost roughly $54 million and grossed over $273 million worldwide. Murphy reprised every Klump in the 2000 sequel, Nutty Professor 2: The Klumps. The Klump dinner table is the visual reference point for the whole multiple roles trick, and it turned a kids' comedy into an Oscar showcase for makeup artistry. Peter Sellers. Columbia Pictures only agreed to finance Dr. Strangelove if Peter Sellers played 4 roles, and he almost pulled it off. The full title is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, released in 1964 and directed by Stanley Kubrick. The 4-role condition came directly from Columbia's belief that Sellers had personally carried Kubrick's previous film, Lolita, in 1962. Kubrick originally cast him as RAF Group Captain Lionel Mandrake, U.S. President Merkin Muffley, the titular Dr. Strangelove, and Major T.J. King Kong, the bomber pilot riding the bomb in the famous finale. Sellers was reportedly hesitant about the 4th part, struggling with a Texas accent he didn't think he could land. After the first day on the B-52 set, he sprained his ankle leaving a London restaurant, and the cramped cockpit was now too physically demanding. Both the ankle injury and the accent struggle contributed to losing the role, and that's how the surviving accounts read. Kubrick recast Major Kong with Slim Pickens, who was given almost no script context, told it was a serious war film, and never saw the comedic scenes outside his own. Sellers improvised heavily across the 3 remaining roles. The iconic alien hand gag for Strangelove was unscripted, and he later said the Strangelove voice was based on a photographer named Ouija whom he met on set. Mandrake's calm British exasperation, Muffley's nasal restraint, and Strangelove's manic ex-Nazi register sounds so distinct that first-time viewers often miss it's the same actor. Sellers earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor for the combined performance. This is the patient zero of the modern multiple roles gimmick. A studio explicitly bet a film's budget on his range, and the result is still taught in acting schools. Mike Myers. By the 3rd Austin Powers movie, Mike Myers was playing 4 characters in the same scenes, and Goldmember was the only one designed not to be funny in any other context. The film is Austin Powers in Goldmember, released in 2002 and directed by Jay Roach. Myers plays Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, Fat Bastard, and Goldmember, a Dutch henchman with a flaking skin condition. The title itself drew a separate trademark fight with MGM, the studio behind the James Bond franchise, which was settled before release. To be clear, Mini-Me, played by Vern Troyer, is technically a clone of Dr. Evil, but is not played by Myers. Fat Bastard's prosthetic suit weighed roughly 40 pounds and required 4 hours of daily makeup application. Myers also wrote the screenplay with Michael McCullers. The film opened to $73 million in its opening weekend, the largest opening for any film in the franchise, and grossed $296 million globally on a $63 million budget. Costume designer Dina Appel created over 30 distinct looks for him across the 4 characters. By Goldmember, the franchise was actively having his characters trash-talk each other across split screens, paving the way for tentpole comedies built around one actor playing 4 physical performances. Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o built two completely different voices for us, and the one she used as Red sent her to a vocal specialist. The film came out in 2019, written and directed by Jordan Peele. Nyong'o plays Adelaide Wilson, a suburban mother on a beach vacation, and Red, her doppelganger from a parallel underground society. Red's voice was modeled on spasmodic dysphonia, a neurological condition that causes vocal cord spasms. After the film's release, advocacy groups objected to using the condition for a horror antagonist, and Nyong'o has since publicly acknowledged the criticism. Most scenes between Adelaide and Red were shot using body doubles, with Nyong'o switching costumes between takes. She also developed separate physical movement vocabularies for each character. Adelaide moves fluidly, Red moves in jerks and stops. The film's twist reveals that Adelaide and Red are actually swapped versions of the same person, retroactively reframing every scene you've already watched. Us opened to $71 million domestically, the largest opening weekend for an original horror film at the time. Nyong'o won Best Actress at the 2019 New York Film Critics Circle, but was not nominated for the Oscar, a snub that became an awards season talking point the following year. By the way, if you're getting something out of this, I post videos like this regularly, and a subscribe would really help out. Thanks. Sam Rockwell. In Moon, Sam Rockwell didn't play twins. He played the same man, again and again, on a $5 million budget. The film came out in 2009, directed by Duncan Jones in his feature debut. Rockwell plays multiple Sam Bell clones who slowly discover their nature on a lunar mining station, a thematically loaded distinction the script protects throughout. It was written specifically as a Rockwell vehicle by Nathan Parker from a story by Jones. Body double Robin Chalk performed opposite him for the two shots, with face replacement done in post. The total budget came in at around $5 million, and Rockwell took home Best Actor at the Sitges Film Festival. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks played 6 characters across 500 years of human history in Cloud Atlas, and one of them was a villain disguised in heavy facial prosthetics specifically to hide him. The film came out in 2012, directed by Lana Wachowski, Lily Wachowski, and Tom Tykwer, adapted from David Mitchell's 2004 novel that weaves 6 interconnected stories from 1849 to a post-apocalyptic far future. Hanks's 6 roles are Dr. Henry Goose, a poisoning ship surgeon in 1849, a sleazy hotel manager in 1936 Edinburgh, Isaac Sachs, a nuclear scientist in 1973 San Francisco, Dermot Hoggins, a thuggish gangster author in 2012 London, an actor playing publisher Timothy Cavendish inside a film within the film in 2144 Neo Soul, and Zachary, a tribal goat herder in 2321 post-apocalyptic Hawaii. The same cast members, including Halle Berry, Hugo Weaving, Jim Broadbent, Hugh Grant, and Doona Bay, also played multiple roles, sometimes crossing race and gender lines. Critics objected to white actors playing East Asian characters in heavy prosthetics, and that criticism still follows the film. The production cost roughly $102 million, financed entirely independently, making it the most expensive independent film ever produced at the time. It earned only $130 million worldwide on a soft $27 million domestic return. Hanks worked with prosthetic designer Jeremy Woodhead and hair designer Shores Roovers, sometimes unrecognizable until the end credits roll chart appears. He later said Zachary, who narrates the post-apocalyptic finale, was the role he found hardest because of the constructed pidgin dialect. Cloud Atlas remains the high watermark for ensemble multi-role casting, since every principal plays at least 3 characters. Its commercial misfire paradoxically protected the experiment because no studio has tried it at this scale since. Christian Bale. Christian Bale's performance in The Prestige is one continuous lie, and you don't realize it until the final frame. The film came out in 2006, directed by Christopher Nolan. Bale plays Alfred Borden, but actually plays both Alfred and his identical twin, Frederick, who have been alternating as one public identity since childhood. He also plays Bernard Fallon, the mute engineer assistant, who is also one of the twins, doubling up the deception. Nolan and Bale rehearsed every scene by tracking the same question: which twin is this? They answered it through micro-mannerisms, a slight head tilt, a finger gesture, an unnoticed blink. Bale lobbied directly for the role after secretly obtaining the script through agents, since Nolan had someone else in mind initially. The film earned $109 million worldwide on a $40 million budget. It picked up 2 Academy Award nominations, Best Cinematography and Best Art Direction, but Bale himself received no nomination, which became a frequent retrospective talking point. The twin reveal is foreshadowed throughout via the cut-off finger detail and contradictory diary entries. Hugh Jackman, the co-lead, also technically plays multiple versions of his character via the duplication machine, but the screenplay treats those as the same character, which is why he isn't on this list. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy played both Cray twins in Legend by recording one brother's lines first, then performing the other while listening to himself through an earpiece. The film came out in 2015, directed by Brian Helgeland, and Hardy plays both Reggie and Ron Cray, the real-life London gangster twins of the 1960s. He filmed each scene as Reggie first, then went back to hair and makeup, and performed Ron with Reggie's audio fed into a hidden earpiece, which is how the brothers can react to each other in real time. Stunt double Jacob Tamuri stood in opposite him for both versions, and for the famous brothers fight scene, Hardy himself credited Tamuri as the other half of the fight. Armie Hammer. The Winklevoss twins in The Social Network look identical because one of them isn't actually Armie Hammer. His face was digitally pasted onto another actor's body. The film came out in 2010, directed by David Fincher. Cameron Winklevoss is Hammer entirely. Tyler Winklevoss is Hammer from the shoulders up, with body actor Josh Pence handling everything below. Pence had auditioned for the actual role for weeks, learning Aaron Sorkin's dialogue and hiring a rowing coach to bulk up. Fincher told Pence on set that he was being demoted to a body double role, reportedly opening with, "I am so sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to do this." Pence and Hammer attended a 10-month twin boot camp with acting coach Cameron Thor, drilling shared mannerisms before a single shot was filmed. Hammer's face was then digitally tracked and grafted onto Pence's body in post-production by visual effects house Lola VFX. Other shared scenes used split-screen photography, with Hammer playing both halves. Pence also has an uncredited cameo as a separate character, the guy trying to get into a bathroom Mark and Eduardo are blocking. The film won 3 Academy Awards and grossed $224 million worldwide. Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons played twin gynecologists in Dead Ringers, and won Best Actor for what most critics called a single performance split into 2. The film came out in 1988, directed by David Cronenberg. Irons plays identical twin gynecologists Beverly and Elliot Mantle, who run a Toronto fertility clinic together. Elliot is the confident seducer, Beverly is the introverted partner, and they share patients, including their lovers, without telling anyone. The premise is loosely based on the real lives of Stuart and Cyril Marcus, identical twin gynecologists found dead in a Manhattan apartment in 1975. Cronenberg used motion control cameras and split-screen photography to put both Irons' performances in the same frame seamlessly. Irons won the New York Film Critics Circle and Genie Awards for Best Actor, but received no Oscar nomination, an omission Cronenberg himself cited as one of the great snubs of the decade. Irons later said in a 2003 interview that he played the brothers as one mind that had cleaved itself in 2. The film won 10 Genie Awards, including Best Motion Picture, and Cronenberg's filming approach influenced every dual-role production that came after, including Adaptation and the 2023 Dead Ringers limited series with Rachel Weisz. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage's performance as twin brothers in Adaptation got one of those brothers nominated for an Oscar, except that brother wasn't real. The film came out in 2002, directed by Spike Jonze, and written by Charlie Kaufman. Cage plays Charlie Kaufman, the real screenwriter, and his fictional twin, Donald Kaufman. Donald is credited as co-writer of the screenplay, and the screenplay received a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination at the 75th Academy Awards, credited to Charlie Kaufman and Donald Kaufman. That makes Donald Kaufman the only fictional person ever nominated for an Oscar. The film lost to Ronald Harwood for The Pianist, but Cage's 2 performances remain the only reason a non-existent person sits in the Academy's record book. Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler played both his title characters in Jack and Jill, and that performance became the first in history to sweep all 10 Golden Raspberry Awards. The film came out in 2011, directed by Dennis Dugan. Sandler plays Jack Saddlestein, a Los Angeles ad executive, and his identical twin sister Jill, who arrives for an extended Thanksgiving visit. Al Pacino plays a fictionalized version of himself, infatuated with Jill. At the 32nd Golden Raspberry Awards, Jack and Jill won every category, the first sweep in Razzie history. Sandler personally received a record 11 Razzie nominations that year, breaking Eddie Murphy's previous record of 5. Pacino later told the press he took the role partly because his accountant had been jailed and he needed the paycheck. Alec Guinness. When the producers of Kind Hearts and Coronets offered Alec Guinness 4 roles, he sent back a telegram that became Hollywood folklore. Why 4? Why not 8? The film came out in 1949, directed by Robert Hammer for Ealing Studios. Guinness plays 8 members of the aristocratic D'Ascoyne family: the Duke, the banker, the parson, the general, the admiral, young Ascoyne, young Henry, and Lady Agatha. 7 of those roles are men. 1, Lady Agatha, is a woman, the suffragette who dies in a hot air balloon crash. The plot follows Louis Mazzini, played by Dennis Price, a man who methodically murders the 8 D'Ascoynes ahead of him in line for the dukedom. Each death is a different, darkly comic set piece. The admiral goes down with his ship. The general is blown up by a homemade bomb hidden in a jar of caviar, and Lady Agatha is shot down with an arrow in her balloon. Production used split screen, in-camera matte work, and double exposures, with no digital trickery available in 1949. The film was made in roughly 9 weeks for an Ealing budget of approximately £200,000, and it was selected for the British Film Institute's 100 Greatest British Films list. Guinness received no awards nomination at the time. Recognition came retroactively, with the BFI now calling it the gold standard for the multiple role performance. Hammer reportedly required Guinness to perform each D'Ascoyne with a different physical center of gravity, so the brothers would feel like distinct people, rather than the same actor in different costumes. The film is also the only Ealing comedy with a murderous protagonist who escapes punishment in the original British cut. The American release added a frame implying he's caught. This is the technical record that has never been broken. Sellers, Hanks, and Murphy have all hit 6 or 7 roles in a single film, but Guinness still owns 8, and he did it entirely without digital compositing. Every entry on this list is in dialogue with this one. If this was your kind of thing, consider subscribing so you catch every new video. Thanks for watching.